All right. Hello, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone to our June 18th meeting on this Juneteenth Eve. And we will soon be hitting our regular cadence of meeting at the first Thursday of the month. So I appreciate everybody's patience with scheduling and making sure to remember to join us. We have our chair, Bill Clark, who's excused today. And I also want to mention we are also joined by our two ASL interpreters, Wanye Jefferson and Jim Brown. Thank you so much for your service here. And we will start with introductions. I'll start my far left.
Okay. Joyful evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to share your time with us, because we have powerful work to do and we need the community. And we thank you for your support.
Hi, my name is Keith Patterson, or the Reverend Keith Patterson, and I'm also a co-worker in this powerful work that we have.
Good evening, everyone. Catherine Thomas, and I am on the PAB Alliance. Good evening.
Larry Knox, Northeast Sports Seat. Happy to be here.
AJ Derwin, Northwest Council Seat.
Yvonne Wilson, South Council.
And I am Luam Teklaab, the South District seat and Vice Chair. So we will start by going to the approval of the minutes. We will move forward with approving the May 21st meeting minutes, which everyone should have received on May 28th. So before we go to a vote, are there any additions, subtractions, discussions?
Yes, there is. I guess we got to amend the meeting minutes because I am not on there.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Huh?
In addition to that amendment, any other discussion points, changes? Okay. Do I need to have another vote to approve the minutes officially? I believe so. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes? The amended minutes, yes.
I'll make the motion to approve the amended minutes.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, wonderful. That passed unanimously. Okay, with that, we're going to move over to the Executive Director report. And so I will give the mic over to Dr. Leslie Myers-Small. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me okay? Am I close enough? Okay, great. Certainly good evening to our amazing board of directors, our staff who are here, community members, and those who are watching. I'm Leslie Myers, and I proudly serve as the Executive Director for the Police Accountability Board. I have a few updates that I'd just like to provide to each of you for my report. So we know that it has been challenging with the legal environment following the March court outcome decision, but our focus has been clear during the month. Our focus was clear during the month of May. We are moving from transition to transformation, and rather than retreating, we have been intentional about redefining how the Police Accountability Board advances transparency, accountability, policy reform, and community engagement. During the month of May 2026, we reached more than 700 community members through 14 engagement activities. We conducted 2 district meetings with one of our board members, AJ Derwin, and also with Yvonne Wilson. Those meetings were very, very successful, and we thank them for their leader. I'm sorry, the May meetings were AJ and Lawam. Pardon me. And it was a good opportunity for us to have conversations with the community. And one of the things that we discovered, this is an evolving process, is that we started collecting the questions from the participants, answering certainly the questions that we could on the spot, but we started with Yvonne's meeting, where we're capturing the questions, we're coding the questions and developing themes of what we've heard from our community members. And I'll be pleased to report back in our July meeting, we actually were able to act on a group of questions that came up during Yvonne's district meeting, where we'll be able to close the loop and show the community that we heard what they said and that we'll be able to provide something tangible to them. So that's really the goal when we talk about the shifts that we're making relative to community engagement and our public affairs, is that we really are working very hard and being much more intentional about showing the community that we're hearing what they're saying to us. We also, during the month of May, advanced more than 5 strategic partnerships. We coordinated more than 20 executive leadership and strategic planning sessions. We led the 26-27 budget presentation right in this room. We had a budget hearing to City Council, and we continue to strengthen the relationships with stakeholders not only across Rochester, the county, but New York State. Among some of our accomplishments this month, I mentioned the Transition to Transformation framework. We also we continued to work on the New York State Civilian Oversight Consortium proposal, and that actually was submitted a week and a half ago, and we should hear with an affirmative yes that it will be the first to be approved in the entire United States.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. We can't wait. Yes. Yes, very, very exciting. During the month, we also welcomed Dr. Ashley Campbell as the Interim Director of Policy and Oversight. We've been continuing the development of the Public Accountability Dashboard, again, to make sure that the data that we do receive, the reports that come in, that we are able to make that information accessible, and that our community members, we can break it down in a way that is easily understandable. And we expanded partnerships with organizations like ABC, or Action for a Better Community, RTS, Regional Transit Service, the Urban League, Willow Domestic Violence Center, Measures for Justice, and the YMCA. We also continued planning for an initiative we're calling The Talk. It's a community empowerment initiative, and we, again, have continued to build that consortium. In addition, we've been working on several year-end publications. We have the strategic plans, so we are very grateful that City Council approved the funding for that. But we'll have an update after June 30th to the board first, and then to the community relative to our strategic plan. We also will have an end-of-year publication, which we're terming the Charter Fulfillment Report, to show how we were able to fulfill the items that we are still legally authorized to do. And so that is coming forward. And then we also have the annual report that we produce that and have that done right before we go to NACOL. And we're doing some different things this year. We're showing definitely where we have encountered success, but we're being more definitive about the roadblocks and the challenges that we've experienced. And we want to make sure that that's uplifted, certainly in a respectful way, but also to articulate the frustrations that we experience and about the ways that we, unfortunately, even though they're charter authorized, that we can accomplish. So we know that the challenges certainly remain. The legal limitations imposed by that March decision continue to require us to educate the public about our current role while simultaneously building the infrastructure necessary to support policy oversight, transparency, and data-informed accountability. And this really is where we are putting intentional efforts, because people still, our community doesn't always get what we do, or trying to figure out, okay, how are you still relevant? How are you still impactful, even though you are unable to individually investigate alleged misconduct? And so there are very powerful parts of the charter that the community unfortunately does not know about, that we're doing a better job of making sure they understand. And what's really important is that there is so much power in policy, oversight, legislation, research, data. And so it's important for the community to understand that that is important. Do I need to pause? We lost connection to live stream, so let me just pause for a moment. No. Okay. All right. We're still YouTube. Oh, that is the, okay. It's still waiting. Pleasure of the board. Do you want me to, there's no timetable. Would you like me to continue, or do you want me to pause for just a little while? What's your pleasure?
Is everyone in agreement that we can take a 5-minute recess? See if we can get back up in 5 minutes with no timetable. I feel like there's a chance we might be up.
Sure, we can do 5 minutes.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Question.
It can, but at least we're giving it a chance.
If it doesn't work in 5 minutes, can we just record audio that we can put up later? Just somebody
With a phone?
We don't have, I think trying to do it by phone wouldn't be very high quality. It would be hard to capture.
No, it's not.
It's the
Pardon?
streaming.
No, streaming.
It's the streaming.
No, it's the streaming. They just lost connection, but not because of the internet. Okay.
Okay, so it's 6:12. We'll reconvene at 6:17. Hopefully the
Okay. Sure.
streaming will be back. Thank you all for your
Okay.
patience.
Oh, he said okay. Did everyone hear that?
Of course not. I think you need to say it again so everyone could hear that it's time to resume.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so it sounds like while we can't do any live streaming right now, we are still being able to record the meeting. So everything will be uploaded onto YouTube the next day. So apologies for our streamers. You're not even seeing my apology live, but you were apologized to.
Right.
All right, and Dr. Leslie Myers-Small.
Thank you. So as I continue and almost concluding my executive director report, as we look ahead as an agency, our priorities include expanding our district meetings, having them spread out more throughout the year rather than in the spring and summer months. Certainly advancing the public accountability dashboard. We had conversations about making that more dynamic and interactive for community members, strengthening our partnerships and expanding them, increasing public education efforts beyond the talk, completing our end-of-year publications, and continuing the implementation of our transition to transformation framework. Board members, I remained incredibly encouraged by the progress we are making. May represented an important step in defining the future of our agency. While our authority has changed, our commitment has not. We continue to ensure that Rochester residents are listened to and that we can uplift their concerns in ways that inform the rest of the community. We focus on transparency, policy reform, and community-informed accountability. In closing, I just want to take just a brief moment to recognize the significance of Juneteenth and its place in our nation's history, since we are celebrating tomorrow. As we all know, Juneteenth commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans and serves as a reminder of the ongoing pursuit of freedom, of equity, of justice, and opportunity. It is also an opportunity to reflect on the importance of things like civic engagement, community voice, and the role institutions play in fostering trust coupled with accountability. As an agency committed to transparency, accountability, and meaningful community engagement, the Police Accountability Board remains dedicated to listening to residents, promoting public trust, and ensuring that community perspectives not only help inform our work, but shape it. I hope that those who are celebrating or observing the holiday have an opportunity to reflect, celebrate, and spend time with family, friends, and community. We will be tabling on Saturday, June 20th, down at the MLK Park. So if you're able, check out the events, but also the Police Accountability Board table. I also want to extend Father's Day wishes to the fathers, grandfathers, mentors, role models, and father figures among us this evening and throughout our community. Thank you for the many ways you support and strengthen the lives of others. For that, we are incredibly grateful. I want to thank each of the board members for their continued dedication, service, and passion to the work and to the agency, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, we're not seeing any questions. Thank you, Dr. Leslie. Oh.
We've never gone without a question. I don't want to break like a 3.5-year, 5-year streak or whatever. I guess if you could just talk a little bit, 'cause I am really excited to hear about the NACO and the consortium.
Yes.
Especially considering kind of a common theme of us, but if we can't do things in New York State, there's other parts of the country that can't even approach to do what we're able to do with accountability work. There's only a handful of states that have functioning accountability boards,
Yes.
where their state legislatures have not outlawed them, which has happened, or disrupted them in other places. So this, with the folks that are part of the consortium, can you just talk a little bit about the places in New York State that are part of it and other places that we could potentially reach out to be a part of it within the state?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question, Larry. So the consortium, the aim is to focus on their strength in numbers. And when you have committed individuals that are like-minded around the issue of oversight, of police accountability, you can get additional things done and you can make things happen. So with the New York State Civilian Oversight Consortium, and I don't know if I articulated this strong enough, we will be an affiliate of NACO. So that gives us additional resources that you can imagine as far as policy, professional development, etc. So there are several oversight agencies, with New York City being the largest, but there's Ossining, Newburgh, Syracuse, Schenectady, Ithaca, but we also have included in that LEMIO, which is the Law Enforcement Misconduct Investigatory Office, so they will be playing a tangential role in that. And it just allows us to work together in a very purposeful and concentrated way. The goal is, once we're approved, and we anticipate that will happen at the end of this month when they have their NACO Board of Directors meeting. Then we'll host a virtual meeting this summer, and then the goal is to come together before it gets too cold and the weather is prohibitive. So either we'll come together virtually, and then in the spring we'll come together in person. Probably meeting, and I failed to mention Albany, who's our partners as well. We'll come together in the spring and in person. But this is really, it's groundbreaking, it's huge, and this will serve as a pilot and a model across the United States. So if California, Texas, etc., different states want to do something like this, they have a roadmap and a template for them to accomplish this.
I just want to say, so as they keep pushing us down, we're still standing strong. Okay, we're getting stronger. We're getting more people, because this is statewide or nationwide.
Our affiliate will be statewide,
Okay.
but will be under the NACO umbrella, which
All
is
right.
nationwide.
Okay.
Yes.
Power to the people.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Small.
Yes.
Thank you for that report. I just have a question regarding the community partnerships. As you highlighted the relationship with ABC,
Mhm.
can you just speak briefly about the relationships like with RTS?
Yes.
Is it more about educating? Is it more about, with all the partners, kind of educating the same kind of way? Could you just speak briefly about that?
So the RTS partnership, we had a wonderful meeting with them. It was either last week or the week before, and we talked about the fact that we would be remiss if we didn't partner with them being right across the street, and just all the activity that we are seeing. And for those who are watching, there is significant law enforcement activity at the RTS. And especially as the weather has become much more pleasant and warm, there are just increased numbers of individuals. So we're just meeting with RTS to talk about ways that we can support when individuals who are riding on the RTS we can talk about their rights. And it's not just with young people, but adults as well. There also are, I've actually seen quite a bit of increased the ambulance of people having medical emergencies, but then those medical emergencies turn into something different, and law enforcement is called. So we just had conversations about the lay of the land, and We also spoke about potential partnerships because they work so closely with the Rochester City School District about how to just improve ridership and just when things don't go well and law enforcement is called, how we can have that be a calm situation or be even preventative so the phone call doesn't happen.
Thank you.
I want to backtrack to the consortium. Thank you for listing out some of those cities that do have their own accountability, police accountability agencies there. But I do want to mention, to board member Yvonne's point of stronger together, there is still an opportunity, and I'm wondering what membership could look like for cities that are actively establishing their own police accountability board, because obviously, there's going to be immense data and assistance that could be provided in that.
Yes, the one caveat, and I agree with this, they do need to be NACOL members. As they're organizing or coming together, they would need to have membership, but absolutely we would be open because we want to provide opportunities of lessons learned as people are developing and forming their accountability boards. Like if we can give them information, resources, data, etc., that will be beneficial, and it'll take away from some of the sweat equity that they need to put into that work. Dr. Campbell, when she comes up, she's going to actually talk about the launching of the survey, but I don't want to take away from her shine. So she'll mention that as well.
So, and I'm assuming you can become a NACOL member without being affiliated with an agency. Has that information been disseminated to, and I have Buffalo on the mind because I know they are consistently actively working for a police accountability board of their own. Is that information, are they aware of the progress that is being made with the New York State Consortium? Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes? Ms. Arlene?
We're fine. No.
Oh, okay. No, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let's transition to departmental updates.
Remember this from last time. Remember the noise it made? Kevin Rampold, proudly serving as well as general counsel for the Police Accountability Board. And I want to thank the board for being here, as we always do, and that we appreciate your volunteer service to the community. I just have a few things that I wanted to talk about briefly this month, and if there are any questions or any concerns with regard to anything else, please let me know. The first is the appeal process. The motion for leave to appeal to the Court of Appeals, which was filed with the 4th Department back in April, actually. We reported on that to you last month, was denied by the Appellate Division 4th Department on June 5th. I believe that we actually anticipated that might be the outcome, given that the document that we're appealing is an order that was made by the exact panel who heard our motion for leave to appeal to the Court of Appeals. However, the important thing to keep in mind at this point is that we do have our second chance, which is to go directly to the Court of Appeals for leave to appeal to them. That's a different panel. Those are people that think in a different manner than the 4th Department here. So that's a good thing. The date that has to be filed is July 8th. The outside counsel that was retained by City Council is working on the project, and we leave that in their good hands with our suggestions and our review of the submissions. We will keep you up to date on that as well in real time. As we learn something, of course, we're going to let the board know about it. The second thing I wanted to speak about was our legislative committee update. with that, the board will recall, I hope, that we had granted permission to form a committee that would shepherd any legislation that we might want to get in front of our representatives in Albany, and to follow any applicable laws or bills that may affect police accountability in the state of New York. And that was the basis why we requested permission to form that committee. In formalizing that, I prepared a resolution which sets forth it's the founding and governing document of the committee, where I would anticipate and suggest that the board would move to approve this, with that, we would be able to formally have our committee up and running. It's a committee that's going to follow along and comply with all rules and regulations, with the city charter, with the open meetings law, to be sure that we can get any input that we might get from the community. So with that being said, we do have on the agenda for it to be approved as new business. I don't know if the board wanted to move on that now, but what I would respectfully request at some point is that there would be a motion, a second, a chance for discussion, and then the vote to see if it passes and carries. So with that being said, that's my brief update for you guys this month. And if there's any questions or if there's any other matters, please let me know. And if I can't address it tonight, if I don't feel comfortable addressing it tonight, I would do it privately or in some other manner that the board would like. Any questions, please?
Yeah, I just want to ask, I think, kind of established, but I did forget how many board members is needed beyond committee.
There is no requirement, but as you may recall, that there were 3 names that were proposed, which I did put into that, which is board member Derwin, board member Knox, and board member Brown, that were going to be members of that committee. Okay, and of course the board can appoint any other board members beyond that committee. The staff at the PAB is readily available. You can appoint people from the staff as well if you choose to shepherd this through and to work in conjunction with the board. More power to the people.
Okay. No, I was just asking the question because I know I recommended Ms. Brown, but my question is, so in order, it has to be just 3. That's the point I'm trying to make.
No, it doesn't need to be just 3. Sorry about that. Those were the 3 that were proposed, nominated, however it may have been.
I guess I'm going with the charter. My question is, it can't be more than X amount of board members before it's a meeting, correct?
No. We're going to comply with the open meetings law, which,
okay.
Yeah. So, it can be whatever, if there's more than 3 people on a committee, then
it has to be public, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
That's what I'm trying to get. Okay.
Yes.
So, I just want to make a suggestion because I know y'all going to report back to the whole board at executive meeting.
Well, my idea, this is going to be a public kind of conversation. I think we want the public to help inform us on potential ideas for legislation they know about that's out there by the state, in addition to ours that we're hoping to get through. So I think this is an opportunity for the public and us to kind of have a discussion. Some of these meetings may not be super long because, it's just, there isn't bills introduced every day that are new, but I think there's an opportunity for the first few meetings at least to talk about our legislation and other legislation that's already in the state that would be supportive, and then kind of going from there.
Yeah. In my understanding, the open meeting law would apply even to the committee of three. So if the committee of three people is going to be meeting to discuss matters of public business, that would be subject to the open meeting law. We'd put out a public notice, invite the public. It will be all a matter of.
Okay, so it's open to the public. Whatever the committee comes up with, the community will be able to interject, voice their opinion.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Well, you want to be honest?
Well, that hasn't been decided. The board can vote for whoever they like.
On a slightly different topic
Sure.
related to this resolution, we know that this we wanted to form a committee to help advance legislation related to restoring PAB's powers. So I was wondering if you would have any objection to adding an additional line to this resolution, which would authorize the committee to facilitate communication and coordinate legislative advocacy related to that legislation to restore PAB's powers. Would you have any objection to that?
No, I don't. I thought that I had included that in 4, but whatever language that the board is comfortable with, I have no problem with that. I think that would require you guys to agree to that, of course, through your vote. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any proposed language that you might like to put in?
I just got one more question. So today, are we going to open up the floor to add some more members to that committee?
Yeah.
You can. Yeah.
I'm not. That's up to the board.
So I'm asking the board. Y'all hear me?
If you know someone that would like to be a part of the committee, if you are advocating to join, you are more than welcome. All you have to do is put your name forth. The reason that the 3 of us are there now is because no one else stepped up. However, if you have some additional information and you want to, please speak up so we can move forward.
I guess what I'm suggesting is that we get somebody from the alliance, because they're the ones also was in the beginning who know charter. That is what I'm trying. That was my.
Oh, okay. So
that was my end goal.
Oh, okay. It would be nice if you had started with that so we know what you were talking about. But thank you.
I mean, again, that's up to the board how they want to act with that, whatever action you choose to take.
Yeah, and I think that.
Yeah, we have time to discuss that.
Yeah, I think that's a fine suggestion. I think that there's nothing prohibiting a community member from joining a committee. And actually, since we're so deep in this conversation, I suggest that we go ahead and continue our discuss. Okay. It's under old business. Okay. So then in that case, why don't we hold further discussions for old business, and then we will go ahead and... No. Oh, no apologies necessary.
Board Member Derwin, do you have any proposal language you wanted me to insert?
Nothing specific. Just so as I read 4, it says in 3 and 4 both say continue coordinate legislative advocacy
Correct.
efforts authorized by the board and facilitate communication with elected officials, blah 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 blah, as authorized by the board. And so maybe add an item 6: the board hereby authorizes the committee to work on the legislation to restore PAB's powers, or something to that effect. If we want to refer to it, what did we? Is it the Restore the Mandate Act or something like that?
Yes.
So maybe we can name it by name or something like that.
All right.
That would be fine with me.
Fair enough. And
of course, we will make the appropriate motion and have the board vote on that at the
correct
time in the meeting.
At the appropriate time. Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else?
I think
I'm
that's
here.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm representing Dolores Ivy Page, who's the Director of Operations, and giving the operations report. During May 2026, the Operations Division continued to provide the administrative, financial, technological, and organizational infrastructure necessary to support the PAB's mission. The division focused on organizational readiness, budget planning, operational continuity, technology implementation, facilities management, records administration, and support for public transparency efforts. Some key performance indicators is that during the month of May, support of the one instance of supporting the board meeting. There were 2 staff trainings that were coordinated. 3 technology projects under development, and facilities and administrative issues were resolved 100%. A few major accomplishments: coordinated the operational support for the fiscal year 26-27 budget hearing before the Rochester City Council. 2, supported implementation of the agency's transition to transformation framework through operational planning and organizational alignment. Continued implementation planning and training for Reduct and other technology tools designed to improve the efficiency, documentation, and records management for the agency. Supported the development of the public accountability dashboard by coordinating operational and reporting requirements, and maintained administrative support for board operations, committee activities, and public meeting requirements. A few deliverables completed. The expenditure report was developed and finalized. Facilities coordination and operational planning, and then technology implementation planning. A few emerging issues or operational risks: continued need to modernize records management and reporting systems, ongoing implementation of technology solutions to improve efficiency and transparency, and Dolores and Dr. Campbell are working together on that area. June priorities include the following: support the June 26th staff retreat, planning and logistics, of which I think, if not all, most of the board members are able to attend at least part of that day, so thank you. Continue facilities planning and space utilization review, and then strengthen records management, FOIL coordination, which is very significant, and document retention practices. The value to the community of the operations division: they ensure that the PAB functions efficiently, transparently, and in compliance with applicable requirements by supporting public meetings, assisting with the publication of reports, maintaining records, implementing technology solutions, and coordinating organizational operations. The division helps ensure residents have reliable access to information and meaningful opportunities to engage with the work of the Police Accountability Board. For board attention, just informational, just continue to review the dashboards that are publicized. We do give you printouts for the board meetings. We're continuing the Reduct implementation progress, so we'll be able to hopefully give some updates next month about that. SOP, or standard operating procedure, development and workflow improvements, and records management enhancements. One action or decision needed. I know that there was an email, so if you could please respond about professional development, training, or educational topics that the board would like included in future board development opportunities. And then a few June milestones: obviously the board meeting today, the staff retreat on the 26th, continued dashboard implementation, and meeting transcription deployment. So we're working on that as well. In conclusion, the Operation Division remains committed to building the infrastructure necessary to support an effective, transparent, and sustainable oversight agency. Our focus continues to be strengthening organizational systems, supporting staff and board operations, and ensuring the agency has the tools and processes needed to fill its mission both efficiently and effectively. That concludes the board report for the operations division. Are there any questions there?
What did you mean, or what did you know what meant by the meeting transcription?
Yes, we actually are looking at a few technology tools where we can improve the efficiency of transcribing the minutes. So we'd use technology to help us with that. Yes, it's a long process, and thank you to Leslie Green who does that so faithfully. But we can use technology to make that more efficient and to turn the minutes around even more quickly. In part, yes.
Any other questions?
Just one thing that has been overlooked a little bit.
Okay.
I called the agency, listened to the phone minute message.
Sure.
That needs to be changed.
Okay.
Okay. It's just something that slipped through the cracks.
The main number,
The main
Arlene?
number,
Okay.
yes, please.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's transition to Policy and Oversight Division.
Good evening.
Joyful evening.
How are you?
Very
Fabulous.
glorious.
All right, so my comments for you today are brief, but hopefully mighty in what the content is. And so, first, for starters, one of the things that we have recently launched is a mini ethnographic research study or project, also known as an arts-based research project. It is called What's the Story? And so we have developed a collaboration amongst several divisions within PAB to begin doing an analysis where they'll have to visit very distinct locations and engage in an observational study of 4 areas that have been identified. And so all staff members, a part of those respective divisions, are engaging in that work. We will debrief all of our experiences come early July. In an effort, this project was designed to truly be able to sharpen our lens when it comes to examining text, looking at footage, or let's say even hearing something that may be a bit disturbing, actually going through a very methodical process as to how we understand what we're digesting, right? And so preparing that work for what is the future work. So all parties that are a part of this particular project have a series of questions that will armor them as their initial output, but they also have the task of generating even more questions based upon the research that they're engaging in. Okay? The other effort that we are doing is enhancing our project management work. And so given the number of projects and or topics that can surface when we're looking at complaints or cases, what have you, or just hearing passing by conversation, it is vital that we make sure that they have some sort of streamlined approach as to what is the actual project. And so this design is to really ensure that we have strategic alignment to our priorities, our initiatives, the mayoral priority, as well as ensuring that we have identified the relevant KPIs tied to that work itself. Key performance indicators. So we want to make sure, because those are the elements that we are measured against, and so we want to make sure that all of the work that we do aligns back to those key performance indicators. Okay? And so that work is underway. We have the policy and oversight team that have already embraced that new work, and they are diligently working with the projects that they have on deck to ensure that they've followed or adhered to the project management guideline. And very soon we'll be having a session with more members of the PAB to ensure that everyone has that similar format and structure so that their work also has that alignment as well. The two projects that are truly already underway, they were initiated prior to my arrival. One is language access within the RPD. And so that effort is around policy recommendations. And so that effort is truly in flight. And I'm working with Sophia, who is the individual assigned to that task, to really ensure that we can figure out what is the next step, right? So in the event that the policy recommendations do not receive a favorable outcome, working through what will be the next outcome or the next process that we would adhere to in order to ensure that the work does not fall on deaf ears, okay? And then the other element that was mentioned earlier was the launch of the Civilian Oversight Agencies survey, and that is across New York State. And so that work is mighty. We have probably over 20 questions in total for all those agencies to address. We actually have received a few responses already. And so they have until about mid-July in order to respond back. But we are diligently working through what would be the next steps even associated with that work. So, of course, producing reports and other types of data analysis that is associated with that kind of work. But then again, also thinking through what could be the further step with that, so the work doesn't just lie still. Okay. And just sharing this is something on the horizon. Soon you all will be receiving an invitation to join us for an internal exercise that we'll be doing. Measures for Justice a few years ago produced a film called Let's Be Clear. And the film is quite powerful, where it engages various vignettes and engagements, I would say, with law enforcement in particular. And there's a guided exercise that I have participated in previous years. And so I would like to bring that here so that we can actually engage in that effort together. I'm very sure that it will generate much conversation and many ideas as to what we may be able to do to retool our work moving forward. Are there any questions?
Yes. Go back to the beginning.
Yes.
Write it out.
Board Member Wilson, can you get closer to the mic?
Oh, I thought I had a big enough mouth, but anyway. Okay. So my question was,
Mhm.
back to the beginning.
Yes.
Because I don't completely understand what was said,
Mm-hmm.
and the community might not understand what was said either.
Mm-hmm.
So can you make that a little bit more plainer?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the initial project that we have launched is a mini research project.
Okay.
It is an observational study where we will be going into various communities and or locations. For example, it may be a grocery store, it may be a library, or it may be a park. And we are actually doing an analysis of what we are witnessing for about 30 minutes. And so all participants engaged in this particular study have 4 guiding questions that they're using to really ensure that they are approaching the work as measured as possible. And what we'll do, we'll report back on what their research findings were, and that will lead into another research effort that we'll do.
Okay, so you're going into different communities,
Yes,
into grocery stores or parks or wherever,
yes,
right? And you get the community to engage in answering these questions. And the outcome of the goal is to determine what?
So the community is not engaged in these questions. It is only the participants who are doing the research, the observational. So let's say for me, as a staff member going to the grocery store, I have 4 guiding questions that I'm mindful of as I'm engaging in my observational analysis. And so when I come back to the fold, we will talk about all of the different things that we observed during that experience. The essence of the outcome, the intended outcome, is to ensure that we are looking at multiple angles of whatever the scene presents itself to be. So, for example, the questions that all participants have for this particular effort is, what social identity markers are clear to you? That's one. The second question is, what challenges you? The third question is, what more do you need? And the fourth question is, what is affirming to you? This was all brought forth as a way to center and recognize that we all have our lived experiences that we come to the table with, and we can't necessarily dismiss them when we're engaging in any kind of work, especially when it comes to reviewing complaints that come through, and also listening to what community members may offer us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's determined by the PACE team or
The PACE team, the policy and oversight team, and legal.
but not engaging the community.
No, not with this effort. Yes.
Hi. A couple of questions. So related to the ethnographic research,
Yes.
I'm wondering if you've thought about trying to focus on like policing hotspots.
Yes.
So that obviously police interactions might be included in some of these observations.
Yes, that is the next phase of this project. Yes.
And then another question related to the language access.
Yes.
Sort of review. I'm wondering. So, I'm presuming here. I get that RPD has a language access general order or something that would presumably guide their officers' conduct in these sort of situations. Are there mechanisms to ensure that you're aware of to ensure RPD's compliance with those? How will we be assessing whether RPD is complying with their own policies?
That is in the process of what we're doing right now. And we have recognized that the compliance piece is definitely a miss. So, yes.
And then one other question related to that project, which is, are there any plans, or would it be possible to speak with affected community members, maybe disability rights groups or other communities that might be directly affected by the language?
Absolutely. So, in particular, we are making inroads with Gallaudet University, which is based in Washington, D.C., where they have a very unique approach to this very topic, language access with police department. So that's one. But the other element is within the actual complaint information that we actually have a wealth of information where we can directly engage with individuals who have concerns regarding language. Yes. You're welcome. Yes.
Thank you for the detail, Campbell. I had a question about you brought up, the report. One of the reports being worked on, and if the recommendations aren't taken, what do we do to re-look at it or find another option? I wonder, is it possible? Because we've had a lot of recommendations that have gone to council and or the chief or over the past few years to kind of go back and see where those are responses. Maybe put that up publicly or share it to board before it goes up, so we can say, oh yeah, there's an update or something.
Absolutely.
So it might be a good way, and also for the public to know there's a lot of recommendations. Some were taken, some weren't. Here's some that may be of interest, maybe some that we need additional input on from like the Alliance for Community. I think there's a lot of work already done that's been put up there that maybe there's disagreement on or not, but things have happened since then that may direct another interaction from us and or city in regards to addressing some of the previous work of the agency.
Absolutely. I would say that you're reading my mind in terms of what is the there, like how do we actually pull that work back and make sure that it still stays ever present. So all of what you just shared is truly top of mind as we move forward with the work.
I had a question, and apologize if I missed it. The consortium survey, could you summarize, in an essential question, what it's measuring or what observations you're hoping to glean from that?
So I would say that the measurement is a bit skewed, right? So I would say it's more so an information gathering type of survey. The kinds of content that we're trying to, assess is placement, right? So how are you placed in the matrix of things? Are you a part of government? Are you not a part of? Are you a completely independent agency? Those type of things. We also tailor some questions that are somewhat in alignment with how we're structured. And what I mean by that is the policy and oversight component, the legal component, as well as our community engagement side. And so there are kind of layers of questions. The major chunk of the survey really kind of rests within the administrative component, just trying to make sure that we understand who we're engaging with, and it will probably be very informative as to what that report will actually generate as well, knowing that, let's say, other entities have already produced, some reports to indicate these cities are really doing very well when it comes to civilian oversight agencies, but it would definitely help better inform how we are operated or structured within the state of.
I would love to also see a question about, I feel like we've already seen some ripple effect of what's happened in Rochester, for
Yes.
example, in Syracuse, and seeing how those cities have been affected, towns have been affected.
Yes, and that is on
Great.
the
Thank
survey
you.
as well. Yes. Open-ended questions.
Yeah, if we could see a draft of that as soon
Yes.
as that's ready, that'd be great.
Yes. Thank you.
It's
It's
out.
out.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
I
out.
thought so.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I did have one other question
Yes.
that isn't a part of the report. Maybe it's a request. We, early on in the fiscal year, voted on the topics that people would be working on. Since then, we've had layoffs. I'm very curious to know what current staff is working on, what has been pushed to the back burner, what's being prioritized, what's being dropped off. That would be really great to have to see how that department's moving forward with their priorities.
Yes. And so I will just respond off the first initiating effort with that. That is the reason why we are creating the project management tool, to really make sure that we're synergized around those topics that were already brought forth, and to really ensure that we have a massive map of understanding where are these topics actually landing over the course of the fiscal year, and if something needs to be pushed back or evolved or what have you. So that is truly on the docket.
Thank you.
Can you give us an example of those topics?
The topics?
Yes.
The topics were, please forgive me, I'm not looking at them right now. I do know that one had to do with body-worn camera footage was one of the topics. Sexual assault was another. Vehicular pursuits as well.
Collective bargaining units.
Drones were on that list as well. I will just say candidly, some of the content needs to be developed a bit more so that we understand precisely what are we actually anticipating, what's the question, what's the objective, so to speak.
It may be useful to go back to the meeting minutes that was presented, where each person had to actually present the topic, so you may have some information there. I definitely don't remember what month that was, but
yes.
It was April?
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oops, I'm sorry.
No other questions? Okay.
All right, now we can.
Thank you.
I am playing Brittany Wells on TV. This is the PACE report. But before I go there, I just wanted to dovetail just briefly on what Dr. Campbell shared. The What's the Story is also a direct result of when we were talking about from transition to transformation. We did a gallery walk where staff identified areas that they were excited about, they were concerned about, questions that they still had. And predominantly, one of the themes was we work in silos far too much, and that we need to have some cross-training or do some cross-work together. It's also to increase capacity. And so that is directly uplifted from a staff recommendation or recommendation that was uplifted. The project management that Dr. Campbell spoke about, staff also under the concerns were that we have a lot of things that are going on, and to ensure that we're able to do them with integrity and that we, don't burn individuals out. So the ability to take a look at the entire year, and I did review with Dr. Campbell either in our first meeting or actually it might have even been pre-meeting. We did go over the policies that were voted on by the board, those topics. And so, as she shared, we want to make sure that the time and attention can be dedicated to them. But this actually, thank you, Luam, for asking that question. This enables me to put the plug in. It's really important for us to be able to hire in the policy and oversight department. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. We have vacancies. We've been in a hiring freeze for several months, but we certainly would like to have the ability to do that so we can have additional qualified, skilled individuals to move the work forward. So thank you for those questions. So back to the PACE report. So during the month of May, the PACE team continued to strengthen community connections and increase awareness of the Police Accountability Board through active outreach efforts across Rochester. PACE staff participated in 14 community events, engaging with approximately 704 community members. And one of the things that we're going to start doing, board, is that we're going to look at that through the lens of the districts that those of you who have district connections to talk about those areas, and if there's follow-up or programming that you as a board member, as we are evolving those district meetings, to do some follow-up or go back to a particular agency. Notable events included the International Plaza opening ceremonies, the Teen Empowerment Luncheon, Thurston's Ease On Down the Road, amongst others. These events provided valuable opportunities to share information about the PAB, and this really is about building relationships with not only the community but our youth. And so you'll notice some of our tchotchkes, if you will, that we give away. They're directed towards younger people, and that's a connecting opportunity for us. And we listen to residents' concerns regarding public safety. You know, I've been out and people do come up and they say, yeah, I saw so-and-so, or I have this particular concern. So as I shared earlier, we are now taking that information back. We're putting those into themes and grouping them and figuring out how to complete that information loop. So we're constantly going back to the community. As was shared earlier, 2 PAB board members facilitated community presentations in the East Quadrant and the Northwest Quadrant, creating meaningful opportunities to learn more about the PAB's work, as well as ask questions about police accountability and oversight. And I know during board member Derwin's after his district presentation, we actually had that connection with the YMCA, and one of our community engagement specialists is going to be going out and doing some programming this summer with youth. So you just never know what's going to happen when you have those types of interactions. So very positive. Through these outreach efforts, the PACE team continues to fill its mission of empowering residents to reimagine public safety for the Rochester community. A complete list of upcoming events can be found on our website at rockpab.org. And if you'll note, when you go there, it immediately pops up for you, the key things for June. And Brittany wanted me to share to please be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to stay informed about our work, community events, and opportunities for engagement. And I think it's an opportunity to uplift the work that Brianna Milan does. So she's doing things sometimes in real time. For example, tonight with the streaming, she is creating content to make sure that those who are following us or that get information about the Police Accountability Board can have it as close to real time as possible. And so that's really important to us to make sure that we're staying in lockstep relative to our social media efforts. So Brianna, just an opportunity to uplift your work and to thank you for what you do. Brianna is very passionate about the work and has really changed our social media landscape and really making a difference. The content is engaging. It represents her passion, but also her interest in the work. And so that's something that has really evolved under Brianna's leadership. So thank you, Brianna. So any questions about PACE?
I have a question. It's not directly about PACE, but something you mentioned sort of right at the top of what you said. That you mentioned a hiring freeze.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that. Is that currently ongoing, or has that been lifted with the new budget? Talk to me about the hiring freeze.
I don't know at this point. I just know it goes through June 30th.
June 30th. Okay. I just want to express my concern about that, given that, as we know, we have a lot of work to do in terms of reviewing systemic patterns,
Yes.
practices, policies, and procedures.
Mhm.
A hiring freeze, which would prevent us from bringing on more folks to help with that amount of work, given our limited staffing currently, it is concerning. I'm hoping. So, is the goal that we would be able to hire after June 30th to start filling those
That
positions?
is my hope. The process is that it goes through the hiring committee, and then we get approval or not.
So, just to the extent, either myself, without speaking on behalf of the board, but I'm sure other board members feel the same way, if we can support you in making sure that happens so that we can hire the staff we need to do our work, we'd like to support you in any way we can.
Thank
So
you.
Please let us.
I want to ask the question about the pace. Okay, so we're extending that into different parts of the community.
Mhm.
Okay, so is it open for the board members to give suggestions to where,
That's what the Youth and Community Engagement Committee that you and Lawam chair. That's the vehicle to do that. Yes,
I thought that was a youth committee. So
No.
what are we?
I
it's
mean-
Youth and Community Engagement.
Okay.
Yes, so we are very open to that and welcome those suggestions, and that would be the vehicle. That's the official chartered vehicle for you to be able to do that.
I just wondered because I was making a lot of suggestions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I want to second what AJ had said, especially we're just kind of new at or not newly at the end, I guess correct English, but budget just being passed, City of Rochester. If you look at what our budget is currently, even without the investigations, and look at the RPD budget size, and you look at what the percentage should be of somebody doing accountability work compared to the size of the agency that you're doing accountability on, obviously we wouldn't need a budget as big as RPDs, but
Right.
considering the work that is still being done, considering people are still doing complaints to us, they're looking at pattern practices. I see there's still the pattern of people of the community trusting us to come to us with complaints that aren't going to PSS.
Yes.
So that means they still feel they feel comfortable coming to our agency to have a complaint. I think once we get back to our investigative power, we'll get more complaints coming in. And of course, the ultimate goal is for us not to have to exist because everything's fine. But that's not going to happen in the next couple of years for sure. Again, reiterating the work of the community, the hundreds of complaints that we have sitting there already that we aren't able to investigate at the moment, but we want to be able to see patterns and practices out of that. The work that our staff knows from the complaints and from the community that they want to be able to investigate. They want to be able to study through Dr. Campbell's division and the importance of having proper staff for that. I agree. I don't want people to underestimate the power of that work, especially because we're still getting people bringing information to us, complaints, ideas. That's still happening.
Yes. And I don't think we officially uplifted this, but during the month of May, there were 10 complaints that were submitted. And so remember, when you look at our dashboard, we're further disaggregating to show where did the alleged complaint, what zip code did it come from, the gender and pronoun use of the complainant, the age, if we're able to get that. And I know I had a really good conversation with Pastor Wanda either a month or so ago, and we looked at even trying to discuss how do we get, some people are hesitant to reveal some of that information even when it's with us, of trying to figure out how to break those walls down so we can get that data, so we can have complete data, because it's incomplete, and when you read that, sometimes it said preferred not to disclose. So we're really trying to work on getting that end number eliminated and have it populate a particular category.
Any other questions?
Not a question, just a comment that to piggyback on what Larry said in regards to the hiring, to continue to uplift the work and gain the respect of the community, because if you don't have the staff, you can't carry out some of the initiatives that we have. So I just really want to piggyback on that and really to express to those that have the power that how important it is that you be given the authority to hire to do the work.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think we can move forward. Thank you. And we will transition to what I will call the vice chair report in our chair's absence. and a lot of you have touched on some of the things I'd like to say. And with this being our June meeting, the last meeting of the fiscal year, it's a moment of reflection, and this was mentioned, but it is not lost on any of us sitting up here that in the time that we've temporarily lost our investigatory powers last April 2025, we've received over 100 complaints. And feel free to fact check me, but I'm pretty sure PSS received less than 5. I think it's about 3. That again emphasizes the need for an independent oversight agency in our city. And we will continue to make that known and make sure we are remaining in the community. Also, in this time of reflection, since the last time that we've met as a board, have experienced another year gone by since George Floyd's passing, which resonates, I think, a lot nationally with this sort of work. Even in our own community, we had an incident early in June, which I know a lot of people were calling on the PAB to investigate on, and unfortunately, we could not do that. That being said, we want to thank the community for reporting that incident, because that is what we need to continue the work that we're doing, which is heavily a part of observing and looking into the policies, practices, procedures, and patterns of RPD. And that is not light work. We do have vacancies. We have not been able to fill them. So during our budget session, when that was addressed, that's a tough conversation to have, to talk about why we have vacancies, why we should justify having that space in our budget when we also have a freeze. Speaking on the budget, I do want to thank board members Knox and Thomas for attending the budget hearing along with our executive director and the staff, and thank you for all the work that you put into the budget. And we are excited that that has been passed, but there was a lot of trimming that was done, and our budget was reduced by 23%, which was heavy. Throughout that hearing, I did hear themes of independence, themes of accessibility, accountability, transparency, and leadership in the work that we're doing in Rochester, statewide, and that the eyes of the country are on us. I also want to lift up, in addition to our budget being passed, the RPD's budget was passed for an amount of $190 million. We talked a little bit about how it is important to have an agency like ours be that number, our budget versus RPD. There is research in a good rule of thumb of, well, if your police budget is this size, your oversight agency over this establishment, over this agency, should be a certain amount. And I believe that number is 3%. And we are nowhere near 3% of a budget of $190 million. So I do again want to thank everyone that played a role in working through the budget and getting our budget approved. And just want to remind the community that when the police's budget is over 25% of the city's budget, we have a problem. And to consistently restrict the PAB's work in hiring freezes, in relocations, this is only going to make our work harder. And oversight, as an employee of the agency said, is infrastructure. So it should be looked upon that way. On a different note, I do want to remind everyone this is our June meeting. So during our July meeting is when we will, based on the charter, vote on our new chair and vice chair. So anybody that is interested in those roles, please talk amongst us. And how that will look is at the July meeting, we will have members of the board nominate who they would like to see as chair and vice chair, and we will vote on those roles, and that will be achieved immediately. So please keep that in mind for our July meeting.
Luam, I just want to piggyback on what you said about the monies that's allotted to the police department and the monies that's allotted to the PAB board. So I am sending out, I want to say, a SOS to the community. You must, it's voting time. June 23rd is the vote. So the people who we have put in place, okay, who are not representing you, that's north, south, east, and west. I just want to say you don't have to put up with that. You need to voice your vote so the people who are representing you will get out there and represent you the way that they should be represented. And that's whatever's going on. City Council, Rochester City School District, whatever it is very important to vote. If you don't vote, that's like just laying down and allowing them, I want to say, to destroy you. So you must vote no matter what. You must get out there and vote. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, I think we can transition to our committee reports. So with that, Board Member Knox, in Chair Bill's absence, would you like to report out?
We have nothing to report at the moment. Save us a minute and a half of time.
Okay, well, I'm going to eat that time back up as we transition to the Youth and Community Engagement Committee. And I'd like to, I don't want to be too repetitive, but thank you to all of our board members that have had their district meetings. I thought that was there was great work in that. And again, a thank you to the staff, because we would not have had as much success without logistical and promotional event or assistance that we received from the staff. We do have one more. We do have one more district meeting. So if you've missed South, East, and Northwest, our Northeast district meeting will happen on June 25th with Board Member Knox. So I encourage everybody to show up in attendance at June 24th. Thank you. Excuse me. In addition to that, our staff will also be making sure we're taking vigilant notes on that meeting, so we can also disseminate the information that was presented, and as well as the community conversation that happened with that update. Thank you so much to the staff for doing that for Board Member Wilson's event. And then for Board Member Derwin and myself, I recommend that we reach out to the staff and send an email with any thoughts or any questions that we do remember. So I'd imagine we're going to have an overall report from all districts, so that way we can capture some of those questions. I know a few resonated with me that I'll be sharing with the staff.
I got to say one more thing. I would like to also thank Jay Monroe, okay, for assisting me in my town hall meeting. And I also want to thank, it's like his whole family and friends was there. So I want to say kudos to Jay Monroe and to the PACE team. I think it was awesome, and I appreciate you, okay? So be blessed. All right.
And I'd also like to remind all of us, I know I had a great time connecting with my district. Though the charter only mandates that we do this once a year, we can, of course, have recurring events. And I don't want to talk over the staff's capacity, but I think if that's something that we'd like to do, we should also be mindful of that. The other part of our subcommittee's update I'd like to give is Board Member Wilson and I did have a chance to meet before, or since our last meeting, a board meeting, and we were able to have good conversations about how we'd like our subcommittee to move forward, and really highlighting any gaps that we're seeing amongst the agency to be able to have that filled in terms of presence in different parts of our community, and also making sure that we are keeping youth engagement as a priority. And that would be supplemental to what the agency is doing, because we definitely see that. So we want to make sure we're supporting that in every way we can. And I think we also talked about, potentially opening up our meeting, not necessarily increasing the people on our subcommittee, but opening it up so that way we're not just in our own little echo chamber, but we're hearing from the community to hear how, as a reflection on what our community engagement team is doing in terms of, are we missing the mark? Are we finding success? And in addition to the quality data, also collecting that quantitative data. I said that backwards. I always do that. The qualitative data. Anything to add, Pastor? Wrong place. Anything to add, Board Member?
No, I just want to say that I guess I was under assumption that it was only for the youth, but I did suggest that since it's for the community, we engage the community and the youth. But I also suggested that we get the some of the local churches involved, okay? The churches and the school districts, and school is out now, but if we still around in September, that we can go have some type of town halls in the schools, okay, in the gyms or the whatever, libraries, so that right there would get the community involved. So I think it's not, I'm trying to say it might not be a well-known thing, okay? So it's up to us to get it out there into the community so they'll know that we are trying to get the youth involved and the churches. And to me, churches doesn't, all churches, white, black, brown, green, or purple, whatever it is, but we need to do that. So that is one of my main goals, is to get the churches involved in community engagement with the youth and the community.
Thank you. Any questions on any of the committee updates? Okay. With that, we'll transition to old business. And first up is the consideration for the resolution establishing the Legislative Affairs Committee. We had Kevin up here giving us an update on that. You do have the copy of the resolution in our packets, and I'd like to open the floor up to discussions. And I know we have an amendment that we've considered, so let's start there.
Yes, I would like to move to make a couple of amendments to the resolution. The first is I would like the resolution to explicitly authorize the committee to work on the Restore the Mandate Act. That's the legislation that would give PAB the powers back that the courts have limited. One additional thing, if you, on the first page of the resolution, the last sort of paragraph on that page, it discusses who gets to be on the board. It mentions me, Board Member Knox, and Board Member Brown, but it says then such other board members and staff as may be appointed by the chair of the board. I would like to include that community members can be included on that committee as well, and open it up to that would be appointed by the entire board, so that the board can vote on it. Obviously, we don't have a chair here today, so I would hope that the board could decide on who should be part of it. With those amendments, I would move to include those amendments in the resolution.
Okay, great. Is there a need to break that up, or can we just vote on that amendment?
We vote on
Yeah, that I understand, but there were two amendments that were proposed.
We could split them up. I guess we could. Does anyone want to split them up? Can we vote on them?
Is that a motion to that? Okay, great.
You want to have discussion?
Let's have further discussion on this.
So we're going to discuss it now.
There should be a motion.
Well, so I did move.
We need a second.
Thank you. All right, then can I have a second?
I
I know.
second.
I know that.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Well, we just
yeah.
voted.
Okay.
Second discussion then.
I would think that the discussion would come first, but yes. Okay.
We move that we make amendments.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
second it. Okay, is that correct? But then we all got to agree that we're going to do it. Is that
See,
right?
this
We're
is
gonna
what
have
happens
discussion.
when Bill doesn't come.
Okay.
All right, so let's continue our discussion. Thank you, everyone, for your patience and support.
I like both ideas. I do want to say we should have a vote as a board on a community member. I would just, since if these are like legislative minutes, I think it would always be a good suggestion to have an alliance board member as community member. But a community member, then I think the legislative intent should be that would be an alliance. Appointed by the alliance.
So, got a question. So basically, any alliance member is included along with the board, right? A community member, not a board member. Okay. So the board members, hold up. So the board members for the alliance, we already got one on, right? So I guess I was offering for the alliance itself to come on board.
I was saying as a suggestion that as a board, we're voting on adding a community member potentially. We could do two community members. I guess it's up to us. I would say it's a good idea. I would say to have one of those community members be somebody that a suggestion of the alliance.
Okay, I'm confused.
Yeah.
I
remember
suggested that the alliance as a member on the committee.
I think we're saying similar things. Just
Yeah.
the proposal doesn't say that; it says community member. I'm just putting out an intent. So if somebody's looking back, what was your idea 5 years from now? And I was like, well, our intent was the alliance would be one of the community members.
They are.
Well, we're discussing it right now to make that happen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Keith. Because the alliance is the alliance, right? Okay. Community member that will be appointed by the alliance is two different things. But it's two different things. Okay.
So we should clean up just so that we're sure at what the language is going to be. What I would suggest is that we go forward with the board authorizes the committee to work on forwarding the proposal known as the Restore the Rochester Mandate Act of 2026. That's clear, and that we would so that would be number 6 in our second decretal paragraph there. We would add that as number 6. And then on the last resolution where we resolved that the committee we're appointing committee members, that we also include that we would include a community member that is appointed through the alliance. Is that what we're looking to do? Yes, so they can appoint themselves. They can.
I think that's where the difference is. So yes. Thank you for that. And I think that was one of the conversations. That's what Pastor wanted.
I want to get back to Kevin's recommendation. It sounds like maybe we should split these into two
Yes.
separate amendments, because I think we're all in agreement on the first one, and we need to figure out what language we're going to use for the second one. So as it comes to the first amendment, I would move to amend the resolution to include that the committee is explicitly authorized to work on the Restore the Mandate Act. Do we have a second for that?
Great. All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Wonderful. So we were able to move forward with that, and now let's go to the second second change. I'm sorry. Can I
So I guess we can't go back and forth with the audience, but through the chair. My proposal was being explicit about having an alliance member on the committee. So if there's any confusion on that, maybe you can watch what I said. But that was exactly what I was suggesting. We can go back to the second agenda.
So let's go to the second agenda item, and let's put to the vote having that last paragraph read, and such board members and staff and Police Accountability Alliance member. Can I have a motion?
Okay, so a couple of things. One, there's another aspect of that same provision that's about whether it's the chair or the board that gets to appoint. So I just want to point that out for the record. I think it should be the entire board. And regarding who else would be on the committee, I think community members covers both. Like, it covers the alliance. An alliance member is a community member that could be appointed, but it would also potentially include the ability to appoint other community members who might be interested in this topic and might want to be appointed to the committee as well. I would prefer to leave that broad so that we could include both alliance members if we want, or other community members, with the understanding, which I think we're all generally on the same page based on the discussion, that we would like to include an alliance member on the committee, that we could do that and then invite them to nominate someone, and then we could approve that at a meeting. So I would like to see it as community members so that it is broad enough to include the alliance and potentially other people in the future if we decide we wanted other community members to be on the committee.
I think this is where we make nice, and I want to include everybody. And I, again, think that the PABA should have a designated person, because, as it was mentioned, we would not exist. And as I said earlier, I see them, and it's my opinion, that a PABA appointee and a community member, yes, a PABA person resides in a community. However, we're talking about the membership for this legislative committee. A community member is broader than a PABA appointee. So there should be, in my opinion, 2 appointees, one from the community at large and one specifically from the PABA.
I don't think the board wouldn't vote for somebody.
We could also canvass. We could canvass amongst the people that we know that are aware of what the PAB is doing. You may not get someone, but I agree with you that the person does need to be informed beyond the legislative committee.
No, we did accept your suggestion. We have said, and I thought we had voted on the fact that a member of the PABA would be included. The second proposal was that we open it up also to a member of the community if there is a community member that would like to participate. Now, I understand you're saying that there are community members who may not be aware of, they're not going to come. It's not going to, we're not limiting to just a community member from the PABA. We're saying, okay, because we are involved with the community, we want community input, we are willing to accept an additional community member who would like to participate. That's all.
I understand that, but that, to me, this opens up the can of worms, because you can get people that might be pro PAB or whatever. So my point I'm trying to make is this: I guess we're going to have to get some qualifications
Right.
For
There
the- for
we
those
go.
people.
We can do that.
All right, so
We're not-
I
that's-
agree with that. If we have certain qualifications, they have to meet. They just can't be a community member and come on and make any decisions.
Just to be clear about what it is this provision is doing, it gives us the ability to appoint people to the committee. That's all it is. So, you know, we can. You can specify. We can specify if we want to, but like saying community member covers anyone else who's not on the board or not a staff member.
Okay.
I mean, we could say also alliance member, but again, all of this just means we can appoint them to the committee. That's all it means.
Okay. Again, I am more than willing to specify specifically that a member of the Police Accountability Alliance has a seat with the committee. Period. One seat. And then community member, if someone wants to or is interested, we're more than welcome to vet another person.
Okay. So I think we're getting into the specificities a little too much. I appreciated the term community members just being overarching. I want to be wary that this conversation of and community members is leaving us rigid to open to interpreting. We must have, the 3 board members that are listed along with a PAB Alliance member, along with a community member. What happens if we don't have a community member? That also being said, this is a short term. I'm having a hard time concentrating. Thank you. That being said, this is hopefully a short-term subcommittee. Assuming that we get the goals, the 6 items accomplished. So this isn't an overarching, thing that's going to be a subcommittee that potentially needs to last for the duration of the agency's existence. That's my thought on that. I have no problem. Let me finish. Okay, let me finish and then, thank you. That being said, for me, I don't mind it, instead of reading community member, reading Police Accountability Board Alliance member. I think it does make sense that they do have the expertise. I also think that if we do community member, I understand it's broadening the terminology. At the very same time, it's most likely going to be someone in the community that is involved with the Police Accountability Alliance, that is informed with the legal battle that we've had over the years. So that's my thought. I'd like to open up for other people to have a thought, but that is what we're still needing to vote on. We did not approve that language on Police Accountability Board Alliance member or not. Any other thoughts?
I think to resolve this, we could amend it to and such other board members, staff, Police Accountability Board Alliance nominated persons or other community members.
Why are you putting staff in there? We're not.
It's already in there.
It's already in there.
Huh?
It's already in there. Because we might want someone from staff on the committee.
Yeah, and these are options on what the subcommittee can look like. It doesn't necessarily
Just
mean
telling us who we're allowed to appoint to the
allowed.
committee.
I
That's
second-
all it
I
is.
second
Can-
AJ's,
Can I just point one thing out that we should probably do for purposes of making a clean record is that we withdraw whatever the initial motion was. We had passed and carried
Sure.
on the mandate, so that's been passed and carried.
Correct.
There was a second motion made by Mr. Derwin to include community members, and so we should withdraw that motion,
Correct.
and then we should clean it up with a fresh motion that will contain the language that we're looking for, which is that there would be a PABA member on the committee together with any other community members that the board would approve. So it's not just somebody that can walk in the door.
Of course.
The board would approve that and would have interviews and such. for purposes of doing that. So I would suggest that we move forward that way.
My
Yes.
prior motion's withdrawn.
Thank you, sir.
I would move to amend the line in the resolution to be amended as follows: Be it further resolved that the committee shall consist of board members A.J. Derwin, Larry Knox, and Arlene Brown, and such other board members and staff, Police Accountability Board Alliance nominated individuals or community members as may be appointed by the board.
Can I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Is there any not in support? I didn't
Yes.
see all the hands.
You get to nominate.
Board Member Wilson did not vote for, correct?
Everybody voted except Yvonne.
Correct.
Okay.
It's the board's,
Yeah.
board's meeting. Yeah.
It's passed.
Okay. Well, we've moved on, but
It's been passed and carried already.
We've already voted.
The vote has
We
passed.
all voted,
We
and
all
you
voted. You all
you've
voted.
chose not to be in favor of it. So I'm happy for you to say. I'm happy for you to say your comment, but we can move forward then. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. We're still in old business.
Can I mention something related?
Sure.
So obviously, we just passed this resolution and we established the committee at the last meeting. I wanted to mention specifically about something about legislation that's related to police accountability efforts. This is unrelated to the Restore the Mandate Act, but it's state level legislation that has come to my attention. It's related to has been an attempt in state government to roll back some of the previous transparency efforts over civil rights law 50A. There's been legislation introduced in Albany that would shield from public disclosure complaints against officers which are not sustained, and this is obviously concerning to efforts at police transparency and accountability. In particular, it would incentivize police departments not to sustain complaints in order to keep them from public eye, as if they needed further reasons to not sustain complaints. So, deeply concerning legislation at the state level, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention.
Is that related to 50A? Or
Civil Rights Law 50A. So this
Yes.
was back prior. There was at one time it shielded all disciplinary records from public disclosure. Then it was repealed, allowing police disciplinary records to be subject to the Freedom of Information Law and disclosed to the public. There is now an effort to roll back some of that transparency and to shield from public disclosure complaints against officers which are ultimately not sustained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to put that in perspective of the work that the agency did, that allowed us to in investigative reports, be able to display police officer names. I remember correctly, but yes.
Could I be recognized? I just wanted to note that the Friday letter that's today, because we're off tomorrow, the 2 links to those articles are actually there. I sent that to all of you all. And then next week, I'll send it next week. I've drafted a memo about just some implications. So thanks to Kevin and Hojan, pointed that out to me today, and I wanted to make sure I included that in the memo. So you have the link so you can review the articles, but I will do a memo with our legal team to further elaborate on that.
Are we still in old business?
Correct.
Okay, because I'm seem to not be on, like I wasn't here. I didn't exist last month. Okay, because I nominated Arlene.
Mm-hmm.
My name is not down here that I nominated her to be on this committee.
Are you talking about on the resolution itself or in the minutes?
On the minutes.
In the minutes, okay. that's something that we can move to amend
Correct.
in the minutes as well. But let's take a look.
So
Is there a way we can include the addition of that in the minutes? Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Already done what?
no, the amendment was to include that Arlene. I'm sorry, Yvonne was at the meeting, but she's saying she
Attendance.
wants the minutes to include that she nominated Arlene to be on the legislative
committee. Okay.
affairs.
Motion. I would like to move
Yes.
to amend the minutes from last meeting to specifically mention in the new business section that Board Member Wilson nominated Board Member Brown to be on the legislative committee.
Can someone second? Kathy, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Board Member Wilson. And let's move forward, continuing in old business. I did have a question. This is probably for you, Dr. Myers-Small, while we're in old business. I know we talked in the past about, since we're in this new phase of our work, in terms of how we're engaging folks that submitted complaints to explain, where we are as an agency in terms of what our powers are, and how we're doing in terms of the backlog in connecting with complainants in terms of where they are in the work and how we're using the data of the complaints.
So that actually is being worked on right now. They've had a few meetings. The case management falls under the legal team, and so they've been working on some systems and structures to make sure that that's better streamlined and that the information is moving forward. So we can give you either in a Friday letter or the next board meeting, we can give you an update on that. But they have been working on it.
I would love to hear that at the board meeting so we can have that information available publicly.
Sure.
Thank you. And then also with the webmaster, it's okay. I did also ask about, the PAB, when you Google that, it doesn't show up as a location. Or like if you were to go on Google Maps and type in Police Accountability Board, nothing shows up. Actually, the RPD's office shows up. So I would highly recommend, again, to have that updated. I don't know what is involved in that, but I think that does help the accessibility. I know in today's world, I rely on being able to put something in a search engine and have the address show up for me to be able to easily, access that information.
I thought we'd address that, so I'll circle back on that. Thank you.
And then one last thing, and I'll open up the floor for anybody else in old business. Is there any updates with our SharePoint access?
I'm meeting with the chief next week.
Next
No, on the 30th. We're having an in-person meeting.
Okay, great. Looking forward to the update. Anybody else have anything to add in old business? Let's transition to new business. With the summer upon us, luckily, like I said, we've been able to shift back to our regular scheduled first Thursday of the month, but it is summer. So I do want to be mindful of everybody's summer schedule and ensure that we do have a quorum at our next meeting. That is going to be July 2nd, Thursday, July 2nd at 6 p.m. So does everybody know of any conflicts that you have for that meeting?
No conflict.
Okay. I recommend
Conflict for me.
Good to know. I recommend that we all look at our summer calendars and perhaps if a staff member can reiterate that via email so people can have the time to look at their summer schedules, because I know I'm not reliable to just call out what days in the summer I'm available. So July 2nd and August 6th are our summer meetings. So please let us know immediately so we can plan accordingly on how to move forward. Anybody else have anything for new business? Okay. Before we adjourn, I do want to double check for executive session. We do keep that for any conversations on ongoing litigation and personnel matters. Does anybody have a reason that we need to go into executive session? Okay, wonderful. Board Member Brown, before, I know you had some words to say to close us out.
Yes, just before we close, I just wanted to emphasize the importance of celebrating Juneteenth. Because it's not just about the party, the parade, the barbecue, none of that. it's to emphasize the fact that we have not only survived, thrive, but thrive. Oh, yes, we survived. It was only the strong that survived being on the slave ships that were able to make it for those months on top of months with their various diseases and illness, all those things. So it was the strongest of the strongest that came to a land that was not just foreign but hostile, but came prepared, because in the hair was braided seeds that they came to plant so that we'd be able to feed themselves. And they also had seeds for plants for medicinal purposes, because we are survivors. And then once they got here, thrived, came with skills, were able to do things. We don't want blacks to be able to read. Why? Because reading is knowledge is power. But we did it anyway. And now we are in the thriving position. They didn't want us to have, blacks can't go to the bank. Okay, so we built our own. Don't want you in my town, so we had our own. And we hear about, of course, the Oklahoma, there were 20 other cities and towns that were destroyed because we survived. But not only did we thrive, but we're still here thriving and making a difference and doing great and awesome things. And I want us to emphasize that on Juneteenth, that we are not just survivors, thrivers, but we are thrivers and are still making a difference. That's all I wanted to say.
Power to the people.
Thank you for that. I think that's a wonderful kickoff into Juneteenth. As a reminder, our next meeting is July 2nd, right here at City Council Chambers, and I don't believe I need a motion to adjourn. I think we established that the last time around. So we are adjourning. Thank you.
We adjourn? We voted to adjourn?
This was established at the last meeting. This was a conversation after we left executive session about if that it needs to be adjourned. But just for safe measures, I will call. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Pat.
Second.
Thank you. All right. All in